There we go. There we go. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we have here.
Alrighty.
There we go. Let's see. No, I know this is going to be like kind of crazy to have. There we go. There we go. There we go.
He can push buttons on the fly. I cannot do that.
Yeah,
that's why I just get paid to sit here and be the gunner. Let me shoot something.
It's just some gunner. There we go. Everyone, Red 5 standing by. There we go. All right, so we got targets left. So real quick, while I'm setting this up, Spanky, you were talking about some stuff happening. What was what was some other stuff? Go ahead.
The girl learned, probably 10 years ago to come wake me up and ask for things, whether it be money, friends coming over, I don't know, trips to Disneyland, whatever.
Right.
Whatever her. And that's why I have a house full of teenage girls right now.
Okay.
I did tell them that, I will be doing this, and they all had to be quiet.
They kind of had to shut up. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right. Yes, they're all in the other room with the door closed over there on the other side of the house. They got the dog too. So
do they think it's pretty cool that mom's on Sergeant's Time? You know what I mean?
They do, and every now and then, my daughter has Facebook too, and I'll see her name pop up because if you're friends with someone on Facebook,
right,
and they pop in, it'll say so and so is watching with you,
right?
And I'll see her pop in, and I'm
right.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, look at her, she's listening.
And
then I'll see my mom or dad pop in too. I'm like, shit. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to cuss tonight, but I'll do it.
No, you can cuss. You can drop some shit and stuff like that. They've said stuff before.
I gotta watch my mouth.
You gotta watch. Yeah, there we go.
Dad's gonna call me.
Okay,
I might call you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, everybody, we're back up now, and we're back. See, Facebook I'm sorry. We got to talk to CBS News. We got to dispute some stuff. So the first part of it was a pretty good video, and I'll just go ahead and take it out. But it looks like we're all back on. It looks like everything's rocking and rolling. Yeah. Again, I don't know what to say. If anything else, maybe we might be on. Do you think we might be able to pop on the periscopes? But anyways, always have a pace plan. So there you go. There's my pace. You just saw the pace plan right there within minutes and seconds. Activate right in front of your eyes, and there you go. Rocking and rolling.
CBS wants you to pay for their app.
I know. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I'm not gonna pay for no app. What are you talking about?
Keep your CBS All Access.
Yeah, introducing CBS Access. I'm like, for what? I'm not CBS accessing nothing of excellence. All right, I see you. All right, everybody, there you go. Okay, I see everybody back. Everybody's back. There's no blame 20. You ain't, bro, Jason. You ain't lying, man. You ain't. If this has not been the epitome of the 2020, bro. Oh my God. This has been a crazy freaking year for everybody. At any rate, so we're all up, we're all tagged, we're all ready to go. I see it. I see the Army. Hi, Army. How you doing? I see. Hey, Army. I see you. I see you in their chats. There we go. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, Jason, you're right, man. It has been one crazy year for the Army in itself, not because of the change of training, which I can't wait for the command team to come on, but also the fact that they have done a lot of changing of our non-commissioned officers professional development system education. There's been dropping of schools. Everything's going online. We were normally for Sergeant's Time. I know this is Jason's favorite segment when we do the judge and the blasting of units. However, if you follow us on Twitter at the WTF Nation, you will see the mini bust outs that we have done in the latest is 173rd. There, I got that one call out in there. The 173rd Airborne Brigade. Hey, I see you.
I see you throw that in there.
I see.
Real quickly.
I see you, 173rd Sky Soldiers. You guys, yeah. I'm sorry. You just go ahead and just take a look at those posts. We're not going to do it here because this is a happy show. This is a happy training show. Man, I can't believe CBS did that stuff to us. Why you gotta do that, CBS?
It was their Johnny number 5.
I know, dude.
For sure.
This is messing me up. Okay, so at any rate, so the story we're going to talk about right now is how a lot of training has been canceled. A lot of the Army has moved their training. I guess there's some some ROTC stuff coming over, but the ROTC stuff that everyone thought was going to happen is now ended. Currently, right now, the Army canceled the ROTC Cadet Summer Camp over the coronavirus concerns. And this is out of who threw this one out? Oh, this is from the Army Times.
Why they gotta call it summer camp though?
You know what? Isn't that funny? That's why people never take officers seriously. It's that they're like, well, I was in summer camp, and they're like, what? Say that again. Say that again, LT. No, well, no, really, summer camp. No, say that again. No, this one time in summer camp. That's the jokes that I always get when I hear that. I always hear that stuff. But at any rate, the Army canceled Cadet Summer Camp. And this is from the Commanding General, Major General John Evans, Commanding General of the U.S. Army Cadet Command, a member of also the roster of the prestigious WTF Nation Radio guest list. Quote, we will not host this essential element of Cadet Command training life cycle, and we will conduct collective training in the fall and in spring in order to meet our objectives and try to contain the COVID-19 virus. Speaking to reporters from his headquarters by phone, Evans, how come I didn't get the phone call? I didn't get the phone call. Yeah, that's messed up. Anyways, Evans said that the required training will be decentralized on campus and at military installations throughout the country. Quote, core skills will be addressed on campus at nearby military installations this fall and next spring. Evans said to do that, Evans explained that the contiguous universities, this contiguous universities, not contagious. English, do you speak English? No, I don't. The contiguous universities that would consolidate resources to train cadets on a, quote, basic warrior skills such as rifle marksmanship, treatment of combat casualties, and the STX lanes. STX, for those of you that don't habla, a situational training exercise. Evans said that such exercises over the last over the 2-day weekend, but then said that his staff will work with universities to give cadets up to 96 hours to conduct training over a 4-day weekend. That's really all you got to do for summer camp? It's a 4-day weekend. I mean, isn't that? I mean, that's like that's wow. Okay, all right, okay.
I know they're still doing it. They're just not bringing them all. No, that's what it sounds like to me. They're still doing it, just not bringing them to all one centralized location right now.
Right.
Unlike the 173rd that's saying you have to take a PT test in order to deploy.
No.
Oh wait, did I do that? No.
Did you just drop the 173rd again? Oh, stop! Behave, Spanky, behave. Man, cadet summer training performance traditionally has been one of the factors to determine branch assignment and active duty or reserve component assignment. So if these guys don't do band camp good, that's how they. How are you gonna
become chemical officers?
You become a chemical officer, really. And right now, man, you're a superstar if you're a chemical officer. Evans said that the element has been removed as the only way to fairly do that, unquote. Evans said also the shifting of this year's training into next summer was considered but was rejected because of, quote, the tyranny of time and space. Quote, we don't have enough time between mid-May and mid-August, and Fort Knox does not have the facilities to handle 2 cohorts of cadets, unquote. The original dates for Cadet Summer Camp had been May 23rd to August 16th. Man, that's a long summer camp, dude. That really is summer camp. That's like legit summer camp.
I want to go to summer camp.
Yeah, I want to go to summer camp. I want to hang out with these cadets out at summer camp and see what's up with this stuff. You know what I mean? That's pretty cool. So, right. U.S. Army Cadet Command spokesman Rich Patterson, with 11 regiments training through the 35-day advanced camp cycle, 3 regiments training in a 31-day camp cycle, and for the basic camp. So there's basic camp, and then there's another camp, advanced camp. So, wow, okay. The forecast for CST 2020 includes 7,000 cadets. That's more than West Point, because West Point graduates like 1,800 or something like that. For advanced camp, a cohort for rising college seniors. A 1,900 basic camp, rising juniors, and decided halfway through their college career to join ROTC and get credit for the first 2 years. We should attend that summer camp, Spanky. We should attend a summer camp. I'm just saying.
I'm down.
Yeah, what's to say?
I mean, how many ticks are there? Because I don't do ticks anymore.
Well, depends on what kind of. Yeah, I'm about to say depends on what kind of camp we're talking about. Depends where it's at. Exactly. Do they have summer camp in I don't know, the beach of Florida? It's like some University of Tampa or something like that. Or you're somewhere in
down for that.
Yeah, I'm about to say they have University of Arizona. They got some pretty Arizona State University's got a pretty good one too. I wonder where they go for summer camp. Anyways, Evans said that Evan and his staff conducted a town hall meeting on Facebook March 26 to update cadets, cadre, family members on the effect of the pandemic on cadet summer training and the 2020 commissioning timelines. And Evans will speak to the command and local Kentucky officials via Facebook over the next 2 days. CST is held every year at Disney Barracks. Wow, at Disney Barracks, man. That was
what?
No. Disney barracks. Disney barracks are the barracks that I back in the day. Back I went to basic training at Fort. I attended basic training at Fort Knox way back in the day. And the barracks, we were transitioning from what we called the Stripes barracks, and then the Disney barracks were the new ones. The Stripes barracks, yes, from the name from the movie Stripes, because Stripes was filmed at Fort Knox at the U.S. Armor Center. It wasn't. There was nothing to do with of excellence. It was the U.S. Armor Center. That was it. It was just the U.S. Armor Center. Let me say that again. U.S. Armor Center. There was no of excellence at the end of it. Okay. And so I got to see the barracks that that Bill Murray and Harold Ramis stayed in, and where the drill sergeants trained, and where the drill sergeants that advised the drill sergeant Hulka. And the drilling field, razzle dazzle. I walked the same. I've walked that very same pavement. Echo 146. That was my Warlords. Echo 146 is now at Fort Benning. I want to go visit Echo 146 at Fort Benning when we're done with this pandemic stuff. I want to go visit my old basic, my old basic training company or whatever.
Well, see, I went. Where Renaissance Man was filmed?
You went to Fort Jackson.
With Danny DeVito.
No,
with Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Because right before I went.
Right, because Fort Jackson was Renaissance Man. What was the other one? In the Army Now was Fort Sill. Stripes was Fort Knox. Let's see, was there any good? What was the basic training stuff? Yeah, so now everyone's dropping. That's right.
Yeah, it was filmed right a year before I went, because I remember asking my recruiter, is it like that? He's like, no, it's not like that. But a lot of the scenes that you see, yes, that's exactly what it is.
I was about to say,
all the backgrounds.
Because the reaction, Stripes was the same way. Stripes, was it like that? Where there's some knuckleheads, like the guy who says he can kill everybody. Those guys that said, it was either basic training or jail. Had those guys, right? You had Lighten Up Francis, and then you had that same thing, but you still had the same. You still had the same drill sergeant, the same Hulka, the same. That you still had the winger, the guy, Bill Murray's character. You still had him. You still had those individuals in, and so it was the scenarios. You're right, the scenarios were the same, but man, I expected. I was kind of like, this is where Bill Murray was at. That was like Bill Murray. Everything was like. For me, I would have these moments of kind of like drifting off into space. Wow, Bill Murray eating this chow hall. Wow, Bill Murray probably slept in his bunk. Man, Bill Murray went to use this latrine. Bill Murray walked these grounds. Bill Murray smoked a cigarette right here. I was just like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. I do remember my recruiters yes, those are actual scenes from basic training and the range when you learn how to, fire a weapon.
Right.
Because they had background scenes from them, and that's what, graduation looks like. He's like, but no, they don't teach you how to, improve your English scores and basic training. There are people that do that, but they don't do it in basic.
They don't teach you how to do basic. What was that? They don't teach you.
Yeah, because that's what Danny DeVito was. He was like an English
That's
teacher.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, they do have. Well, back then it was fast classes.
Yeah, it was
they don't do that in basic.
No, but no, they do that. Yeah, they do that at Permanent Party. They should. Now they should. You know what? I think that movie, Renaissance Man, would have been a better movie if they were showing it at Permanent Party.
Right.
It was showing it how BSEP is, because
right.
how well, we just totally rolled into the Sergeant's Time type of subject right there with BSEP, right? Moving into BSEP. Don't know how to do that because part of the stuff that I was really tempting about posting on the screenshots here about individuals complaining about having to write essays, and I was kind of, because Sergeant Major, the WTF Sergeant Major, he's the Sergeant Major, he's our Sergeant Major, he's the WTF Sergeant Major. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, there's a bunch of Sergeant Majors, but he's the one that is considered the Sergeant. He is the Sergeant Major. He is the Sergeant Major of WTF, and then the WTF judge, and then the bosses were all talking, and the next thing you know, it was what's this video's got? Let me see what. Now my video is now. It is now. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Somebody's saying. My voice once again is exactly all those stuff right there, just like that. But anyways, what was I saying? I have like 15 freaking different chats.
The sergeant majors and
the sergeant majors and the judge. You're right. Thank you. The sergeant majors and the judge said, "Hey, exactly. Here is sergeant major. Here is sergeant major." So he was like, "You know, when we're thinking about the way NCOESs and NCOPDSs are now, you have to write papers in the courses.
Yeah.
You have to write papers in there. Now, if we're talking about, and this is a good point, if we're talking about professionalizing the non-commissioned officer professional development system to making it to where, just like officers, they go to captain's career course and they get like some degree credit. They go to ILE, right. they get like a master's degree or something like that. So why not for the NCOs, if we're trying to do the same equivalency to non-commissioned officer professional development, why don't we do the same thing for NCOs? So I'm kind of looking at this. I'm kind of looking at this like, wait a minute, this might be a good thing where a leader, because at first we were kind of laughing. I'm like, I'm not going to write no damn essay. This is stupid, right? But I think this is a new dynamic on how we're looking at this. I think that if your NCO is making you write an essay, then I think he's kind of preparing you for MLC, ALC, SLC. I mean, that's what they're doing now. They're writing. They're in the curriculum. So I'm thinking that's kind of like a good idea, you know, to kind of put that in the mix. But then, if you are a buck sergeant and you're telling your squad, your team leader, or you're a staff sergeant, you're telling your squad, you better have this essay in at this time and all that. Are you qualified to grade it?
That's my point right there.
You know what I mean? Are you qualified? Is it the subject that you don't like? Because what if there is a subject that you don't like as an NCO, and then you get butthurt because that NCO writes a very good freaking article, and it's like, oh, that's a good article. Yeah, okay, whatever. All right, well, yeah, you that's not a good article. Well, are you grading it as for, I don't know, for an English test, or what's your qualifications? Because then you start getting to the back and forth of just like how you have your NCO telling you how to fix a vehicle. I had some soldiers that would have these outstanding, awesome cars. They rebuilt their own cars, and literally I have had some NCOs tell them, you know, that car is not to standard. I go, to whose standard? Because you don't like the way that car looks, or you don't like the way that car is, you know what I mean? The same thing with writing. The same thing with any of the type of, God, a buck sergeant. I'm not trying to belittle the non-commissioned officer corps, but that does not make you qualified to grade a paper. Now, if you knew somebody, like I knew somebody, right? I know a couple people. I got a couple friends. I got a friend that's an English professor. I'm like, here, man, grade this stuff. See what happens.
Well, that's just it. It's like different colleges. Well, most colleges all do APA now. And that was one of the things. And I saw the comments on that. It's like, oh, I don't even know how to write a paper to be able to win a war.
Well, but you know what though? But that's a good
this, blue cord that.
But blue cord. What did you just say? Did you just say blue cord this and blue cord that? Did you just say?
Yeah, because that's all the comments that it's coming from. No, you don't. But that's just it. You have to go to these schools. You have to go to BLC and ALC and SLC or whatever they want to call them today. You have to go to these schools anyway. Why not get credit for
it? My God, Jason got a good point. There's been a couple of sergeant majors that have been that were qualified to grade papers that, I hear you, man.
No, because they went to Trident University.
They went to Trident. They went to Trident.
Or whatever. What's the Mill University of Phoenix or whatever else.
What's the sergeant major? What's the sergeant major diploma mill?
Excelsior College. I can never keep up with whichever one it is today.
Right? No, Jason.
And you can
I know
write at a fifth grade level and pass.
In our class at the academy was the same freaking way. It was, we would have papers that, we weren't like plagiarizing each other's shit, but I would read some of our classmates' papers like, hey, this is some good stuff, man. This is awesome stuff. This should be doctoring. You like big brainy stuff. Yeah, thanks, man. And the next thing you know, their paper would be like barely passing. And I'm like, were you reading it? I always tell the instructors, are you reading this shit for context? Or are you reading it for what it looks like? Because if you, first off, you're doing the correction, but are you grabbing the substance of the document? And then, of course, you will grade afterwards on some of the like punctuations or double spacings or didn't probably whatever. But yeah, exactly. Jason's got a good point too. If they make soldiers write a paper, then provide a rubric.
Well, and that's just it. Is like, what are their task conditions and say they're grading on? Are they grading it on the format? I know in my SLC, that's all they were grading on. Could you write an APA format?
When I start, I'm gonna start.
You know, at that time, I was still working on my bachelor's degree. I had APA format down to like a T, and they try to correct me on stuff. I'm like, that's not right. And I'm like pulling out and showing them in reference, and I had to challenge them.
Right.
And I won my challenge. I had to go in front of the school star major. I'm like, no, it is right here in black and white. Don't tell me I'm wrong.
Right.
Y'all are new to this. I'm not.
Right. Exactly.
Because they were just starting to do that.
Right.
Then.
Exactly.
But
yeah,
it happened.
It what made me mad was that the fact that they would do that, and exactly, yeah. See, personal experience paper. Yeah, they had different ones. Mine was a personal experience paper was the one that was a good one, and then the other one was I did a research paper I did a study on the Ghost Army, and holy crap! I mean, it's only because I love that stuff. I love that type of subject, but I guarantee it. Had I turned in my papers to other I even had other, because we had to have previous class sergeant majors or command sergeant majors look at your stuff. I had a couple of CSM, I had a couple of academy mentors, and I was like, hey, was this good? And they're like, oh my god, this is good stuff. Oh yeah, cool, this is great. As soon as it got back, I don't want to name names because I don't want to piss off the non-commissioned officer centered development of excellency. They were like, this is great stuff, man. This paper should be published in the NCO Journal. I was like, yeah. This should be into a document of doctrinal glory. And I'm like, yeah, get me all pumped up. I get it back, and they're like, you might be on academic probation if you keep this up. I'm like, what are you talking about? Where's my Dr. Man glory? You know, I wanted this was supposed to be cool. What happened? And the same thing. I mean, oh God, that's frustrating. But going back to what we're talking about, it's a good point. It's one of those things like you were just saying, those guys that are like, no, blue cord, I'm never going to do this, I'm never going to do that. Every single complaint that I think if you wrote into the main page, if I were to show you an inbox request of a unit, because there's a lot of whining going on in the inbox right now lately, man. All of us, all the team, all the staff on JTF, WTF are going, have you noticed there's a lot of whining in here? I mean, there's a lot of, you know, because we have, you know, in the last few years of being on the main page and all that, we're all almost senior now, well, very senior, and they were looking like, man, we would look back in history. Our inbox we have a pretty good inbox. Our inbox goes pretty deep. So we would go back, and I'm like, there's no way that someone's going to complain about this. And these individuals would send in novels. I mean, they would come in and send in stuff that should be in books, professional, like, how to you know, professional finance. You know how you always have the vignette or like the motivator before things that you shouldn't do. You know what I'm saying, the scenario driven type stuff. Mm-hmm. That's what some of these individuals write in on text. These people are using their thumbs. so then they're complaining about having to do a paper. I'm guaranteed if this is your chance, nation. This is your chance.
Get college credit for it.
Yeah, exactly that. Okay, Thumbs McKenzie, you want to go ahead and start doing that stuff? Go ahead and start writing all that stuff that you complain about the Army and put it in thumbs. Ooh, I'm gonna go ahead and trademark that. Thumbs, an app where you type out on your thumbs. I'm claiming it right now. Trademark it right now. Let's make some money, Jason. Claiming it right now. That where you as you text and blah 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 blah, bam, it puts it out in the proper format to you. You just hit send to this app, and all the stuff you were complaining about on the main page, this 500 word article that you're complaining about what your unit's doing, and this is what you would do, because we do. Don't get me wrong, we get some doozies. We get some guys that are in there that are actually college educated. Well, that not really college educated, but they're pretty articulate. That would throw some mad comments down. That would be like, wow. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, right. You should talk to your unit about that. The next, like, units give me an R15 because I talked to you guys. Whatever. I think that would be good. So in a way, I don't want to say that. God, am I sounding like I'm playing devil's advocate here? Am I sounding like? Am I violating something of the WTF Nation? By taking the villain side, because I know people are going to be like,
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so, because it's not really the villain. Like, it's okay to have a good point. Like, like even the people that are complaining, like I like, even when I read through just the comments, I just want to stop whining.
Right.
Stop whining.
Right.
And there's like some names that I see all the time. I'm like, I'm to the point where I'm about to just like, I want to block people.
No, we know too.
I'm just like, I'll just shut up.
I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna give you a real quick. I'm gonna give you a real quick inbox tip here. Insider inbox tip when we do something in the inbox. That what you write in the inbox, everyone puts a tag on it. So immediately when you're complaining about something, that tag comes up with you. So if like the judge calls you a barracks lawyer, he'll tag you as a barracks lawyer. So he'll write in there. So when someone's coming and just like, pontificating on some sort of, barracks precedence law of excellence. And the next thing you know, the judge will say, yeah, this is a groupie. This is a guy who's tagging. So we need this individual who needs to stop and just stop it. Stop being barracks lawyer. So we do the same thing. So anyways, I don't want to sound like I'm taking their side, but I'm kind of taking their side. But at any rate, we got 1 minute till we take a break because it's showtime. We got the command team coming on. And everybody go ahead and take their shots and kick your feet back and get ready to listen to some back and forth between two great leaders, Command Team of Fort Jackson, Brigadier General Milford Beagle, and Command Sergeant Major Jerimiah Gant. So everyone, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll see you in a sec. Shouts.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue. Take a look inside your life. Is it so bad? Is this where you draw the line? 'Cause it's so sad. Tell me where you lost your faith. Is it so bad? Couldn't see it in your face. And it's so sad. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down. Why you keep it in your head? Is it so bad? Never heard a word you say it, and it's so sad. Tell me when you lost your way, 'cause it's so bad. Wanna see you when I pray, and it's so sad. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down. Is it what you want? Is it what you needed now? Is it what you breathe? Is it what you're feeling now? Is it what you feel? Is it what you're feeling now? Is it what you wanted? I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down. Hello, you. Will you come back down to me? Hello, you. Will you come back down? Hello, you. Won't you come back down to me? Hello, you.
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
And we're back with a command team of Fort Jackson, Brigadier General Milford Beagle Jr., Command Sergeant Major Jerimiah again. Welcome back, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Doing awesome. Can't complain, man. We're back.
I know. I'm about to say, yeah, and you guys are back, man. It's been literally, it's like 30. What was like May 30th, I think. You guys were the last show. Almost a year.
May 30th would have been a year.
Yeah,
right.
That's awesome. It's awesome. Well, guys, welcome back. We had played a little excerpt from 60 Minutes that got kind of like cut off a little bit. That's just for some tech stuff that we're gonna. But right now we're broadcasting live on Facebook, on both Facebook, U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio, YouTube, Mixer, Name your podcast, live cast right now on the website. So anything you say is going to be recorded for live. Just don't forget that. I got to do the disclaimer. But other than that, welcome back. So, sir, from real quick, I'll start with you. What's been going on with you at Fort Jackson?
A whole lot. I tell folks it's kind of like doing a tango with an octopus. You don't know which hand to grab. You don't know which foot to move. So it's a pretty wicked problem with COVID-19, but we're dealing with it extremely well. And if you played that clip from 60 Minutes, I mean, most folks think, we stopped training, but as the Chief of Staff of the Army said, and we repeat that same thing, we never really closed. COVID has changed how we do things, but it hadn't changed what we do.
Now, with that, sir, there's been a rumor right now that there's a document that was leaked out on Twitter, and that document said that MIPCOM stated that if you were to join the military and you had COVID, you would be disqualified. Would you have any background with that? Do you know if that's true or not? Can you debunk it? Is it true?
Yeah, I'll debunk it because I've heard it debunked in several different venues I've been in, and part of it was just bad wording. And so when you look at those that we had recovered already, I can't discuss, our number of cases or anything like that. But
of course,
we have trainees that are recovered, now, and they're still in training. Some get reset back into a cycle, but they continue to train. I talked to 3 of them just last week, and these kids are phenomenal. But you'll be amazed. Some of them, they feel kind of bad when I talk to them, and they, let me know they were recovering. They had COVID. They were in quarantine. Went through the whole thing. And their heads kind of went down, all of them. And this was in a different environment, every engagement. And I said, look, you didn't go around the corner like whistling for COVID to come get you. It just happened to you.
Right.
And some things you can't help. And I said, but look at you now. You're set back 2 weeks in one case, 3 weeks in a couple of others, and they perked up. And one graduated just today, or actually 2 of them actually just graduated today. So once you get it, it's kind of like, the flu, not using it in that context is not just like the flu.
Right.
We all know that, but
but
once you're through it, you're good. And so a lot of these kids have come back, going right back into training, and they're awesome. They're all over.
Sir, did it have any did it have any impact on, obviously once you got the first word of a student, what did you guys, Sarman, you can answer this too. What was your plan of action? What was your guys' reaction? Because it started to hit, and then finally you got a case on post. What happened? What was your guys' next? What were you guys thinking?
I'll describe what happened. And I'll give you the exact words. So I pulled in the staff, and I said 3 things. We're going to go ugly early, and that was it. Because we knew the speed of the spread, even though we hadn't seen it.
Right.
And you can kind of watch. We talked to Korea and Italy, and did some back and forth and kind of got a view on what they were saying. And they were, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks, right, Sergeant Major? Ahead of us. And then so you got to lace your gloves up and go ugly early. And so, most folks got it from what I was saying. And then that's when we started with all the limited access, ramping up on, buying thermometers, all those type things to get us ready. And it did allow us for a long time, several weeks, to stay ahead of it, working at that speed. And from there, we were able to get into a bit of a, more deliberate planning, all those type things, because, once it hits, and we also knew it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when, and we just had to stay ahead of that. And once it came, then we were better suited, better postured to deal with it. And I'll let Sergeant Major take it from there.
Yeah, absolutely right, sir. Everything he said, we lived the change, every piece of it. We had a battalion that was a good news, bad story. And the Army, not just Fort Jackson, learned a lot from that. And that battalion's well on its way, and it's good to go and all clear at this point. There's several things that we did early that I think really saved our goose, if you would. We built a reserve in every organization and every element, and limited our footprint as much as we could to maintain the training, but also give us that reserve to fall back on. So if something did happen, it wouldn't stop the flow, because our biggest thing was not stopping that train from moving.
Oh, that was going to be one of my next questions. Was there a backup? Like, did you just start once this started happening, and like the commander said, once this is going to get bad? Was there all of a sudden a bunch of soldiers just started showing up? It's like, oh wow, we're inundated with privates showing up. And what did we do? What was your call? What was the final? Okay, we got to stop this. What was the reason why you finally sent the flare up to the boss to just go ahead and pause training?
You'll love this analogy. I love analogies. So
same.
Same. We had a pig and a python, and that was the analogy sent up because things were still coming in, but nothing was going out the other end. So we, as we were receiving new recruits coming in, we continued to train, continued to do things that we were doing, although it was modified. So we adjusted to that real quick. But then we also knew, hey, nothing's going out the other end because now everybody else is, a couple of weeks behind us, or they're, about the same pace. And that's when you start to discover the backlog. But that was discovered not only here at Benning, at Leonard Wood, at Fort Sill, and that was the thing. So then now everything shut down. And the difference with us was with ForceCom units. So they completely can stop training, for the most part, whereas we can't. There's no way we can't. Even if we did stop the training, shooting bullets, those type things, they're still here. We can't say, go to your apartment, come back tomorrow. That
right.
Department's the barracks. And so we have nothing to push it out the other end. So I said to the boss, hey, boss, we got a pig and a python. And if we're not careful, we're going to have two. And that's an ugly-looking python when you got a two-humper versus a one-humper.
He's absolutely right. And also, I'd add, too, is you got to understand that every geographical location was facing their own set of circumstances and the threat that they had in that location. And we're not all in the same sheet of music, nor will we be for quite some time. And everything and every way that we moved trainees from the graduation basic training and they became a soldier, we're moving them to AIT, was large in part through commercial travel. Well, at no longer time did we have you put them on commercial travel. By the time they got to AIT, they very well could be tainted. So TRADOC made the big move, and we got what we call the protective bubble, the safe bubble. So once they are well on through their training, they complete 10 weeks. We know every minute of every day who they touch, what they've done, where they've been. They're in a bubble. They're safe. They're ready to go. So creating that sterile transport and sterilizing the transport and then putting the cadre on the transport with them, moving them to the AIT location and doing that sterile handover of a safe bubble soldier to the AIT location was crucial. And you just can't do that overnight. It took a lot of moving pieces, but we're a lot faster now than what we were when we started, and it's moving very well right now.
Now, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so what Big Army realizes as that was happening across the board, then, we did have to take that pause because they fully realized we got more coming in, we got nothing going out. So the pause was really to let everybody, I wouldn't say reset themselves, but set conditions. And that's where you may be hearing a lot of, protective force. So then we can do the training, but guess what? The force that you need to support the training and enable the training, you got to protect them. So then we had to take that 2 weeks, and we're a little bit ahead of it for the most part. But, putting up things like you see now everywhere, plexiglass screens, making sure we had all the PPE, how do we take care of the drill sergeants and, because they're coming in, going home, those type things. So a lot of different things had to work to make sure those conditions were set and stable. And then we can continue on training, which is exactly what we did. So the 2 week pause, doesn't mean, we didn't stop the training.
Right.
We just stopped the inflow that was coming in.
So then once there's a question there from one of our peers there, Sergeant Major, he's asking about, he's curious about how you guys were able to separate, provide chow and hygiene for the different populations and how not to cross contaminate. How did you build the safe bubble? What was some of the things, like, for instance, you're talking about troop transport. What did you guys do? I mean, because immediately you must. I'm going to tell you what right now. I'm impressed with the fact that your NCOs, because everybody knows NCOs make it happen, and there's only one general on post, so everyone else had to have been an NCO doing it. You guys moved at the speed of lightning on the adjustment. You guys were able to adapt so fast to where when I saw the 60 minutes excerpt, it looked like you guys have been doing it. That was like a backup. That was like, COA 2. So,
well, first and foremost, guys, I got to say, hey, I'm going to give the credit where credit's due. And we got some very innovative and aggressive drill sergeants and cadre members here on Fort Jackson.
Exactly.
That really leaned forward in the foxhole and started knocking down targets. They didn't wait. We didn't have to tell them or instruct them. They understood the threat. They understood the threat early. They understood the whole, hey, if I do the wrong thing off post, I could potentially become a vector and I could take down my unit. So they understood that quick. The education piece was up front. Like the boss said, we got ugly early. As far as answering the question for the Sergeant Major there on the net, so we have a 3-phase process that's kind of inserted into our 10-week process. So of course, upon arriving, they go into a 2-week social distancing phase, if you will, where they're fed outdoors. Everything's done via TRAT, so they're fed outdoors. They receive very small group classes, a lot of disbursement. Everybody's in masks. Then they progress in what we call the tactical distancing phase for another 2 weeks. A little bit of more limitations, start to use equipment, disinfecting. We're utilizing troop trans, utilizing the social distancing, double arm intervals still, no cadence calling, no reply cadence calling. And then once they get past that 4th week and we move into what we call the steady state, there's still a lot of COVID protective posture measures that are put in place, but a lot more. Because, like I said, by that time they're in that safe bubble, right? So we'll put them all on troop trans. They'll all be masked up, but they'll use hand sanitizers in their cargo pocket. So a lot more, and we're not reinventing the wheel, to be honest with you. TRADOC did a real good job in the 350-6 sterilizing the barracks and what our cleaning practices and policies should be. And as long as you're following that, you're really doing a good job in cleaning the organization and keeping it sterile.
So you mean, and because you were a former drill sergeant, so you mean to say that when a drill sergeant is going off on you about cleaning everything ad nauseum, it actually made sense?
It absolutely does. It really does. Go figure, right?
Go figure. I was just thinking, because I was thinking about, you know what? I was watching some of the videos, and I'm like, this drill sergeant's talking to General McConville like he's a private, and I'm thinking, you know what? Every single drill sergeant that told me when because I had a little basic training story before you guys came on, and I was thinking, every drill sergeant that told me I needed to hurry up and clean it, and I'm looking at this floor, this flat surface, and I'm like, it is clean, drill sergeant, and they made me clean more. Damn, it's like, well, okay, I kind of see the point now. Did it kind of like in a way? I know some of the old time sergeant majors, old time leaders would be like, yeah, see, we told you. Did you ever think back and say, hey, look, this is the reason why we do it, and kind of reinforced it to the Joes? Did it help?
Oh, I think throughout everybody's career as they progress through their career. I mean, hell, I didn't understand what the correct position of attention was until I went drill sergeant. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say as NCOs progress throughout their career, they learn a lot and they understand the why. The only difference between the old school sergeant majors like myself and those new soldiers that are joining the Army now, Gen Z, if you will, is they figure it out a lot faster than we ever did. Right.
Yeah, I'm like I said, it took me now after 29 years of being retired to say, wow, no wonder the drill sergeants were being, mean to me. no wonder they were speaking to me in an elevated voice. I don't know why they're going off on me. Did it have...
That still happens now.
Yeah, right. They still do. I still get phone calls and emails from drill sergeants or senior NCOs. Dude, what are you doing? So did somebody coined your one of your phrases and added constipated training environment is what you guys had to go through. That was a coin somebody put in the chat. It's a constipated training environment. Is what
That's actually not bad. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, go ahead. So Kaz is one of our hosts for the Sunday show. So Kaz, just make sure you give him credit. WTF Nation Radio, of course, U.S. Army WTF. Did it? What is this the way that this is going to be the norm now? Because a lot of our a lot of questions we have, we kind of like, and just like you guys, we hate the term the new normal. Is this the new normal? Is this going to be the new way of doing stuff?
I'm with you. I hate that term too. So we don't use that in our lexicon. I mean, we're working our way to what we term here a steady state, because again, it's not, but that doesn't mean it's normal.
Right.
What we're actually in is abnormal. I mean, if anything, and it's going to be abnormal for a while until we get vaccine and all those type things. But where we're going now with the steady state is getting back to a point to where things, I wouldn't say are normal, but they're close to where we were, but they're not going to be exactly where we were. We know that, and we've been beating that drum for quite a while. But until we get the vaccine and everything else, then we're still going to have to do a lot of the things that we're doing right now. But going back to Sergeant Major's point with the bubble works. I mean, you think about how many we've shipped since this started. We've shipped over 6,000 soldiers now. Not a single one has gotten to their AIT destination and been positive.
I was about to ask you.
Not a single one.
Those are impressive numbers.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But again, it's everything that we're doing. I mean, the sterile transportation, the stuff. I mean, throughout the training, drill sergeants are taking temps twice a day. I mean, that's kind of how you pick them off. And so if something pops up, even later on in a cycle, and we've had that in a couple of cases, and we're very proud of the battalions that have had a case, deep into the cycle. So something kind of got in the bubble. I mean, once you're in, you're in. But we know a stray vector comes in and it's there. But that could be, anywhere. The DFAC, a range, you don't know. Sick call. you don't know, but they were able to contain it and suppress it very quick and continue on. So those type things are going to have to continue, and they're now habit. And that's really where we were working, is make those things habit. They become our behavior, and it's okay. We're not wringing our hands about it. We're just kind of rolling up our sleeves and keeping on it. And that's, pretty much where we're at right now. And knowing at some point in time, yes, we'll get to, again, not a normal. We'll just get to a better steady state and work our way through this abnormal period that we're in right now.
And I think it's important to note too, regardless of where these soldiers are located at, and regardless of what establishments may be closed or their anticipation and impatience to want to open things back up. And I'm going to coin kind of what the boss had said many times here at Fort Jackson, that method is not a win. It's a how do we get there.
Right.
And that's, people got to understand that. They just really do. And really we're in the midst of changing a major cultural swing. You can change the climate in any organization overnight, but it'll take your entire tenure to change culture. I mean, just for instance, imagine you woke up tomorrow and nobody can get out and pump their own gas, regardless of where you went and got gas. You had to wait. Somebody has to come pump your gas for you. Imagine how many people are going to just out of habit step out, not complain, not want to get out of their car, all this other crap because they can't pump their own grass.
Brother, there's people complaining about not doing. There are people not complaining about not going to get something to eat. What are you talking about?
Absolutely, absolutely. So imagine that major cultural shift, and that's what we're living in the Army right now. That major cultural shift, and I think there's several things that we're implementing now that are here to stay. And what those could be, I mean, that's anybody's guess. But it's all for the better, and it's all to make us more lethal in the end.
Yeah, so there's a lot of goodness coming out of this, and that's what we're trying not to miss. I think everybody's seeing it. There's a lot of goodness, a lot of intangibles that we're gaining out of it. My meetings are shorter, you can multitask, do a lot of different things, which is goodness. I mean, some of the things we're learning and training that we probably, I wouldn't say shouldn't have been doing, but again, we could spend that time, somewhere else, especially in this environment. And we're all about repetitions. I mean, that's how you get there, and you really make that competent, committed soldiers through repetition. So by taking certain things out, which we've had to do, I mean, we've got a lot of questions when Sergeant Major and I do the town halls. Well, you took combatives out. Is that going to make the soldiers softer? No. I mean, we're going to get those reps somewhere else. I mean, we'll make up for it in other areas. Yeah, you lose something, but you don't lose everything because you took that out, but you had to. I mean, close contact combatives, that just does not make sense whatsoever. And so pulling that out of the POI, but you get more reps in trigger time. You get that all day. So there's some trade-offs, but some of the trade-offs are actually pretty good.
Did it, and now that you mentioned that, did it also see anything as far as now you realize, because me and Spanky were talking about this stuff too earlier before we went live, is now we're starting to realize that there's a lot of things that maybe in our training environment that we can kind of get rid of that we really didn't need. Have you noticed any of that?
I would be cautious about saying getting rid of anything, Ice. I would say we are finding more virtual and easier means. Or more
easier. There we go. Easier sounds better. There we go. There we go. Common sense. Exactly. I shouldn't have said get rid of either. You're right.
Say, it makes you really step back, and say, hey, do we really need to be doing this, or is this something we just like to do? So a lot of the I would say that doesn't make a whole lot of sense legacy items. Now, understand, we went through a comprehensive POI scrub within the last 2 years, so we didn't have a whole lot of cannon fodder to get wave out of the face anyway. But I think, if anything, throughout this environment, we've learned that our virtual capabilities have really grown, and what we're able to do virtually versus face-to-face is really impressive.
Right. There was a question in here about, was there ever a plan for Jackson to extend basic training like they did at Benning on the infantry side, and did COVID change any of those plans as far as that?
No, there were really no plans in the work to do it. I mean, the next place it was going to pop up, if anywhere, was Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. So, I mean, with engineer, I think potentially Fort Sill with artillery, but not here, because given the MOSs, it would be very hard to do here because we have all the other MOSs and then their AITs are so many different locations. We couldn't do all of that in-house. The one thing that TRADOC and Army did do for us, though, was increase the manning. So our manning is like awesome. From the time we talked to you last year, we were pretty good. Now we're like really, really good with manning, but that would have been a key condition to set. If you're going to extend basic training, you got to increase the manning. Otherwise,
right.
I mean, drill sergeants are burnt, day in and day out anyway, just with 10 weeks. So you imagine if you're manned at a lower level and then you're going to extend it, you're just going to crush people. I mean, you put a pencil in a a pencil sharpener and just grind it down to the
Right.
eraser, which is just not smart.
Right.
And I think that resonated. Whereas, places like Benning, where you got the 11 series, you got the 19, the infantry and armor, you can do it because it's all in house right there. Here, the only AIT we have here, well, now 2. So that's a change from last year. So now we have the AG Finance AIT, and we also got PsyOps and
Yes.
Well, Chaplain School is here, and we got
That's
CA and PsyOps.
That's right.
So
that was gonna. Well, we might as well just get on that subject because that was my old MOS. So, you guys have picked up a detachment from SWIC, from JFK Special Warfare Center and School, and you guys are now starting PsyOp and Civil Affairs Reserve AIT there. How's that coming along?
It's coming along well. I mean, you would be amazed at just how quickly that stationing action happened. And most stationing actions, I mean, they'll take years. I mean, this thing went down in like several months,
right?
Just from working together as a command, and me being the senior commander, kind of the landowner. All I had to say was yes. And typically, when it comes to helping out your partners, you say yes. So what SWIC was looking for was really a different environment, because I mean, you got an AIT in the middle of Bragg. And Bragg, forget what they call it, the center of the universe.
That's right. Don't forget it.
Great,
Don't forget it. That's
not
right.
In the training environment. So it's kind of hard. You got you got maroon berets and you got brown rounds, running around. It's like it doesn't really look right. So that was their thing, is hey, put them in the right environment. And the one place where we could house them was here. And they looked everywhere else and said, hey, you know what? We think you got the best place to go. Can we bring them there? And the answer was absolutely. So putting them in the right environment where they got everything they need. I mean, our post is cultured that way. And so I think it's going extremely well at this point.
Yeah, I was right before I retired. I retired out of SWIC, so right before all the discussion was happening. It was just it was just rumor. Do you guys have reserve or active duty 38s and 37 Foxtrots there, or is it how's that? I mean, I don't want this to be the freaking PsyOp show, but I just it was just a curiosity question. How are they adjusting to this new environment with their training too, or have they already started or not started because of it?
Yeah, well, they started, and then they're continuing to go through. I think they had the same thing. So without any shippers coming in, any other trainees coming in, so they're AIT, but they brought their own cadre. So the cadre that was there at Bragg, I mean, their whole support network, they did some restructuring and brought that with them, and we did a very deliberate job of making sure they were integrated properly, and we worked that from past before December all the way through January, and they kicked off their first class, I think, March.
Yes, right. Yeah, March. It was March. Yeah, that was one of the things that I was going to come down to visit you guys with before all this stuff happened. Was part one of the reasons why.
A lot of talk, no show there. I did that last year.
Well, I was kind of waiting on some other stuff because AUSA was happening. I was getting pulled 5 different ways about it. They were like, no, don't come out yet. I'm like, come on, I want to go see these guys.
You know the effective range of an excuse, right?
Roger that, sir. Oh man, see, there we go. I got a drill sergeant and his commander right there. Yeah, roger that. 3 bags full, sir. Let me go clean this flat surface.
Again.
Oh man, again, exactly, twice. Speaking of which, on the facilities there, how did your facilities adjust as far as the support? Because you have CIF, you have the DFAC, you have other facilities as far as the admin side. You have DA civilians and contractors there. You also had to be quick to adjust to that. How did they work out? Can you give us some TTPs of what you kind of did?
Yeah, we'll tag team it. I mean, I got to say, we're not perfect, but I mean, like Sergeant said, the team and the folks that we got here, not only the cadre but everybody else. I mean, they're just phenomenal. I mean, how quick they spun on a dime, and for us to get plexiglass and all this, you got to understand, ice was happening, so fast. I mean, as soon as we got thermometers, right, then we go back to do another order, they're all gone. But we at least gotten through that bowl. We were just kind of just barely making it through. Then we figured out plexiglass, and we got to start putting up shields to protect all the ladies and little guys down in our sew shop, and doing the fitting for ASUs, all those type things. The in processing, I mean, these are folks that are vulnerable, and how do you protect them? So we buy up all the plexiglass we could. I think probably across the state. You go back to get more, it's just all gone. But we had what we needed. I mean, the same thing.
Right.
So then we converted the ladies and guys that did the tailoring for ASUs, and they started making masks. So we're like, all right, you start churning and burning on masks. So they adapted with that. They start wearing them. And so we didn't really have an issue with PPEs, but everybody just turned in terms of what they were doing. And, you saw that in the PX, the Burger King, I mean, you name it. I mean, we were wrapping up tables and all that stuff just happened very, very fast because they got it. And that allowed us, across the installation to really set ourselves and then kind of continue to go through this the right way. And that was just some of the TTPs off the top of my head.
Yeah, and I'd absolutely agree with that. And I would also say, giving credit, like I said earlier, with credit's due, leaders at Echelon, having the intent and executing really at a pace that's faster than orders can be written, because that's kind of the pace that we were moving at. And just really grabbing that bull by the horns and wrestling to the ground on a daily basis. And then, like the boss said, we went ugly early. We really absolutely went ugly early. Literally overnight, we reduced our footprint by 40%. I mean, overnight. And that reserve, which we still operate on somewhat of a reserve basis, has done nothing but save our keister in a couple instances. But also allows us, I can't echo that enough, to just keep pushing that training train down the road. And by having that reserve, we never missed a step. And then I'd also say hats off to the community too, because we were making some decisions that weren't real popular in the community because they were behind us. And now that they're in stride with us, they understand that. And I'd say hats off to also those that live on post, because we have a large retirement population here at Fort Jackson. And there's just a lot of decisions the boss had to make to protect that population and still give them benefits and utilization of the installation. So there's a lot of give and take and a lot of understanding, and it's been nothing but a good story outcome all around. No,
I've highlighted that too. The Fort Jackson community and the Columbia area and the city, the Chamber of Commerce. I mean, it's impressive how they've gathered around more. And I don't want to say anything against Fort Bragg and Fayetteville and all that they haven't, but you see it more. It just seems like it's a little bit more warm reception to that community. You guys have probably one of the most unique facilities on your station, and everybody talks about it and wants to know why. You guys have you guys have a 24-hour family care, child care facility.
Yes.
How did I think in the DOD, right? I think yes.
Yeah.
How did COVID-19 affect the 24-hour daycare? It's offered, and is it still offered?
Yeah, so we closed that completely down. I mean, that was one of my biggest fears going in for all of us, because with kids, we didn't even want to have that as a risk out there. So we gradually did it. So the schools here, the governor said schools shut down on Sunday. So we took a risk, not a gamble, and kept the daycares open for the remainder of the week. And that allowed, the cadre, everybody else to adjust, because we knew, we needed to preserve that time and not just turn it off cold. But we completely shut it down, because one thing it's going to be hard. You think it's hard with trainees, and explain that to the cadre and everybody else. I'm like, how hard is it for you to keep trainees apart? And they're like, sure, yeah, pretty hard. I'm like, yeah. So what do you think about a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, where I'm licking you, you're licking me, and rubber toys and all that kind of stuff?
Exactly.
That's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. Sneezing, sniffles, and all that.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
We got snot flying everywhere, and so
yep.
So that was kind of easy. Everybody understood that one, but come 1 June, because we know our training load is going to go up again, and we've been operating at 50%. I don't think we said that. Is we got to bring the daycares back. So then, as we bring part of the reserve force back, just for those cadre that are single parent, some are dual, you got to bring it back for them, because they kind of run the cycle of their family care plans, and some just are don't have that luxury of somebody close and those type things. So we'll bring it back, but I think now we're better postured to do that. But there was no way we're going to be able to keep that open for the last several weeks and months.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about how that was going to work out, because you guys have, with your drill sergeants having to be around the trainees 24/7. Did it also highlight some of the admin stuff to report up to the boss on how we handle family care plans? Because that's been the real big, that's been the big hot topic amongst single military parents or dual military parents, that there was no adjustment or because of the unique situation. It was almost like people were still in line. Yeah, I don't care. You got a family care plan, and then they weren't looking at the situation. Have you guys been able to capture some AAR comments on this too? on your adjustments?
I understand, Ice, with the family care plan, oftentimes you have to send your kids somewhere or bring somebody in. And with the lockdown of basically the country and the limited movement that we had going on, it was almost inhumane to tell somebody to put themselves in harm's way to ultimately try to help someone else. And so we did not strum the guitar of the family care plan here at Jackson. And since the beginning of this until now, we have dusted them off. To say that they weren't a topic of discussion, you would be wrong. But we did not force any member to execute their family care plan in this environment to date. But we have done our best with the reserve that we built to assist those that are single parents or had immune compromised individuals that were dependents at home. But also had the discussion of, hey, let's look at this family care plan, given this environment. How can we make it make sense to assist you if you need to pull the trigger on that in the coming weeks and months? And to date, we haven't had to. But hopefully that doesn't come to fruition. But I think we're better postured now. And I think it's across the Army. I think everybody's doing the same thing to better be postured to pull the trigger on a family care plan if need be.
No,
but it definitely got some attention though, because again, you think in the environments, FORSCOM versus TRADOC, where would you more likely need one? FORSCOM. So we're always on top of it. When we're on that side of the fence. TRADOC, hey, we're not deploying, we're not going anywhere. So they were there, like Sergeant just said, they had been dusted off, and so don't make a bad assumption. I think a lot of us did, from either my level all the way down, just kind of made a bad assumption. Yeah, I've got it, but the likelihood, the chances of me needing to use it, very slim because we're in TRADOC. But surprise, surprise, COVID's got a vote.
Right.
And Major hit the rest. Yeah.
I'll give you guys big bro hugs on that one because that scared. I have friends that are down at Jackson and they were like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And I check and I'm like, hey, how you guys and gals doing down there? Everything going all right? And they were like, this has been a good experience. I'm just giving you some streets here. You guys have been knocking it out of the park. I know our your FORSCOM, brothers and sisters, can't. To me, this whole thing is messed up because we've not gone through this before. It's not like, you know what I mean?
I would add too, Ice, that I'd be slow to say it's a comm problem, whether it be TRADOC or FORSCOM or USAPAC or UCOM or whatever the case may be. This is very geographic down to the county dependent. And they're making decisions for their organization and their installations based off that local threat, and that's what they got to do. DOD's doing the best they can with the stop move, but each geographic commander is really making that decision with their general orders based off their current location. And to say somebody's doing it wrong and not being in that location, I'd be hesitant to do that because they very well could be doing exactly what they need to be doing based off their location.
Thank you. There was a little hiccup. There was a little controversy that started in the beginning. I kind of chalk it up to the reaction. I know there's a lot of individuals that were talking about this about the retiree situation, about closing off facilities, closing off the PX, closing off.
We never closed anything off. We just limited when, where, and how.
I was about to say. So can you go through that, because that's another thing. One thing about you guys, when you guys come on, you guys aren't tap dancing. You'll tell us what's up. So what happened?
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there was the letter. There was a policy letter that you busted out, sir, and everyone's like, "Wow, they're treating us retirees and blue cards like wow," and I'm like, "Well, I'll ask them."
Oh yeah, no, that came out, and honestly, Ice, I think I took my first ass chewing in command right after that note. And funny story, it was from a 3-star, right? And on the Saturday, I'm in at work, going out to BFC. And so he, calls me up and, just gets a good piece of me. But like Sergeant Major described, everybody's at a different point in time. And so, again, I'm fighting the fight right here in South Carolina. We are. Right. And trying to get this right. But if you're sitting somewhere else, you're like, why are you doing that? That's stupid. That's silly, blah, blah. So, you kind of, you man up, you take it. And they said, Roger that, 3 bags full, got it. And, made some minor adjustments, not many, but we had some luxuries on our side too. Like, we said, yeah, you can't come on, even though it was limited to the pharmacy, but we've got this thing called Moncrief Medical Home, which is outside of our gates, which has always been there for, everybody to use. And so we pushed a lot of the pharmacy and those type things to that location, but it's an extension of our clinic. Right. But it's funny. So where I'm going with the story is later on, I look at this installation where I got this butt chewing from, And guess what? Lo and behold, 3 weeks later, they're doing the exact same thing we're doing, if not more.
All right.
You're like, oh, how ironic is that?
Yeah.
So again, it's going to take you time to get there. So
right.
They didn't understand it then, but yeah, there was some angst, and what we did a couple of weeks ago, or actually last week, is gave them more days. And what I told them, what really started, I think, to resonate, is you're trying to keep two vulnerable populations from, any cross-contamination or cross-pollination. Because you got the training population that we know is safe. They're inside the bubble. They're good. And then you got the retiree population where probably quite a few in that population, they're, immunodeficient or some other issue, or they're going to take that home to somebody. But you want to come and mingle with, around trainees and be at the clinic with them and the pharmacy and all those type things. Like, not going to happen in my book. So you can be pissed at me, but that's just not going to happen. But I think it started to resonate as more cases started to pop up, in South Carolina, in our, surrounding counties and all that. So then it died down. And then the thing we did last week was give them a couple more days. So they got 4 out of 7 days now, but still the 2 days where we know for a fact a lot of trainees are going to be out, or soldiers, as they graduate, going to do the PX and those type things, is Wednesday and Thursday. I'm like, you're not getting Wednesday, Thursday back, because then it puts us right back to where, we don't want to be, is you're in the PX, they're in the PX. If you're retired, you got to call over a young soldier. Hey, let me tell you back in the day some war stories.
Right.
Not going to happen. You're trying to prevent that. Either way, it could be, a soldier or trainee passing it, or vice versa.
Right, exactly.
Just keep those populations separate. And that went over okay. The area where it hadn't is the golf course, and even we kept that open, but they don't get Saturdays either. So
no, I mean,
still get a little bit of friction about that.
Right.
With the golf course.
But you got to understand too, guys. A lot of that is when we really limited their access, but that was for their benefit. We had to set the conditions to ensure that their safety when they did come on. We had to institute protocols of mandatory cart sterilization after every use, head counts going in, plexiglass hung, making a mask before they enter. We got even at Moncrief itself, they do not get out of their vehicle if they go to the pharmacy. They drive up to a tent. They have the conversation with the medic out there. It's radioed in and brought out. Actually, it's dropped our speed at the pharmacy down by about 25 minutes. So a lot of good things have come from this, but it was all to protect them in the end. And I hope they see that now that it's well instituted.
Right. And another thing too, it highlighted probably the lack of use of a facility that was probably there for this reason to begin with. Right. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't like going on post now that I'm retired. I don't care about war stories. I'm done, son. It's time for me to, I'm like, you got to go on post to get this. I'm like, I want to go on post because then, I remember sitting in the gate, sitting at Fort Bragg, 20 to 30 minutes waiting to get your ID card stamped while everyone's going in. And you're like, man, this is not, I do not miss this. You know what I mean? I don't miss that at all. So I was wondering, and there's comments that are in the chats right now saying that there's individuals that wish that there were some retirees that wish they were able to go off post because they don't want to come on post. So in a way, I mean, I don't want to say they're probably bitching too much about it, but they were probably bitching about too much because they were, like you were saying, sir, it was like in their comfort zone. They were used to going, and you kind of disrupted it. You know what I mean? Yeah,
and really, it's the older population. So those that are older than you and I that are retired, it's really that population. Like you pointed out, Leah, I don't want to go on post. I got a Walmart, I got a Walgreens 2 miles from my house. I'm going there.
Yep.
But those that are older, with them, it's just part of their habit. It's just part of their routine. I mean, I've always gone on post. I always go to the pharmacy on post because I've done that for 20 years since I've been retired.
Right.
And they're comfortable with it, and they can do that on autopilot. So once you disrupt that habit, then it's they start kind of having some angst about it and some stress.
Yeah.
And that's really where it was because they're comfortable with it. And that's what they like. I mean, they'll drive by 3 or 4 pharmacies just to come to one on post because that's just the one I want to go to. I mean, we're all creatures of habit,
right?
And that's okay. I mean, and that's their right. But we didn't, cut it off from them. We just changed it. And again, change is something. I don't care what age you are. None of us like that,
right? I got a lot of hate mail, and they're like, "Hey, what's up with your people?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? You got Gann and Beagle over there doing this." I'm like, "What are they talking about?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Yeah, they're screwed over retirees." I'm like, "Whoa, hang on. I mean, whoa, they're gonna come on. Let me ask them." It's just like, dude. And then once I found out what it was, I'm like, "So you're complaining about having an additional service that was added to speed up the process? You're complaining about that?" And I'm like, "Nah, I ain't gonna have it. I'll ask them about it, but it's not gonna be I'm not gonna trash my favorite command team on here. No way." about it. For me, it was just a curious question because there was the letter that got put out, and then you don't. Like I said, I'll be honest with you. This is the best thing going. If anything else, like I said before, it highlighted probably some inefficiencies in other areas that we were able to improve on. You know what I mean?
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. Yep.
So what's next? You just graduated 6,000 Joes today. We shared your graduation video.
No. We graduated about 1,000 today.
1,000 today.
We graduated 6,000
since they. Okay, thank you for the correction. Now from there, what's the whole plan? Is there going to be another? I mean, this is the new flow. We're just gonna.
Hey, we open for business, Ice. We are open for business. We will train whatever's sent to us, and we will train them safely.
The difference is going to be going back to the 50%. So the same time,
right?
And I don't think I caveated this. The same time we did that pause, across pretty much all the services, they reduced our fills to 50%, so half, just so you can get the distance. So instead of 60 in a bay, we got 30.
Right.
So all that work, that just kind of gave us more breathing space and room. But at that same time, even when 60 Minutes came here, they were looking and going, well, you got a lot. I thought you were 50%. Well, they were all here before this started, so we were full anyway. So you still got to get those trained and get them through the pipeline. And now we're going to start ramping back up the other way. So we'll go from 50 to 75% back to 100. So that'll be the change where we won't have that luxury of space, at least with, some of the battalions. Some just went through this whole thing, full up. I mean, 1,000, 1,100,
right, just full.
But they know how to do it already. And now we're going to get back to where we're 100%, and everything's turned on. So the only thing that will stay in place is everything we talked about, the sterile transportation,
right,
to AITs, all that. That'll stay in effect, and we'll just kind of hold with where we are right now.
I will throw out there though, and I'd like to add it. I think it's a good interjection point to add at Ice is, and this is not just for those that are here at Fort Jackson, but hopefully this will resonate across the DoD. Every soldier, airman, Marine, Coastie, Navy, whatever, you need to understand that you are a possible vector, and having that added caution and safety, regardless of what you're out doing in a community, you got to do it smartly. And as long as you're doing it smartly, and understanding that you don't want to be the reason, you do not want to be the reason that your organization goes to its knees. Not that it won't stand back up again, but it could definitely be a fallback. And that concerns me probably the most is as local municipalities are making decisions and opening up areas that are non-commissioned officers and officers are doing the right thing and not just jumping on a bandwagon and doing everything cautiously.
Yeah, and I got a foot stomp that one because me and Sergeant Major are both just as passionate about that same topic, and we say it's a we thing, not a me thing. And so, again, we had to accelerate a bit because we weren't going to open gyms back. Right?
Exactly, yeah.
Well, on Monday, the governor's going to open gyms and pools and all that kind of stuff. So that caused – it didn't force my hand per se or force our hand, but then now we got to open them. And the point being, look, I don't think everybody outside the gates of wherever you're at has your best interest in mind. Just let that be known.
Right.
But most people are going to, they worry about the whiffing factor, right?
Right.
WIFM.
Yep.
What's in it for me?
What's in it for me? Exactly.
I want to go to the gym because I want to go to the gym. I want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings because I want to go there. Well, guess what? I don't think they have your best interest in mind, right? But do the right thing when you're there. So we open our gyms just to keep them here. Like, look, don't go to gyms. We're not saying we don't, want you to, do the right thing, but go to our gyms here because for sure, we're going to keep your interest, our interest, and the nation's interest, at heart and in mind, and do it the right way. Again, not knocking anybody else. Some are going to do the right thing, and some are just not. And you don't know what you don't know, and that's what causes us to be very flexible with the changing conditions around us.
Roger that, gentlemen. Especially because like you were just saying, both of you were saying that there's going to be, well, Sergeant Major, the gym's open off post, and how come I can't? I wanted to get some gains off post. What you know what I mean? Have you? I don't want to usurp this question here because then I don't want to be like announced that we just said it on WTF Nation Radio and we made it official. There is. So does that mean, are you? Let's put it this way: are you going to be observing any trends of possible vector contaminations if someone were to be contaminated from a gym off post before you decide to say, "Hey, look, it's only gym use on post for personnel on Fort Jackson"? There we go. How about that?
Yeah. Now that was kind of my going in, and let's see what happens.
Right.
And kind of watch what happens, and then just talking to my counterparts at Benning, Sill, and Leonardwood, they had a different perspective, which I didn't really consider. I didn't strongly consider. Is if you don't keep them in, then they're going to go there anyway, and you don't know. So I kind of went the way my counterparts did, to open up, and we're just going to see. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I mean, somebody's not going to do the right thing, or do the right thing, be in the wrong environment, and then bring the wrong thing back to us. And so we know the next couple of weeks for us, we're going to be closely monitoring. Where do our numbers go locally? Internal to our gates, those type things, and then try to trace it and figure out where it came from. But hopefully not. Hopefully, a lot of our messages are starting to really resonate, and people are taking that to heart. Is just don't be a vector, and
right.
Do the right things, because it's not about you. It's about everybody else.
Right.
And you really got to do your piece, regardless of how bad you want to go to Buffalo Wild Wings, how bad you want to go to the beach. I mean, you're part of a team, and then don't screw your buddy.
I'm feeling personally attacked with the B-dubs comment there, sir. What's up with that? How do you know? They got an app now that they can deliver, because I get my wings every weekend now. On Sundays, I get them delivered to me.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Yep, exactly. I got them delivered on my porch, and they're ready to go. How are the graduations working now? I mean, we like I said, you had the video shared, especially compared to the kids that are going and missing out on all those milestones. I mean, what are you guys doing to mitigate? I mean, aside from I put it on Facebook. I mean, are you guys doing any additional graduation packages or something like that? Have you gotten with a local community to have the graduates feel like more of a milestone, as opposed to just posting a video? How are you guys? How are they working? I mean, so far.
So first off, they got to understand that I'm not going to say it is a threat. The threat there to both the soldiers and to the community around Fort Jackson. At any given graduation, we have about 5,000 to 7,000 visitors to Fort Jackson to watch a graduation, and that'd be 5,000 to 7,000. There's no possible way to do it.
Trace it.
You can't trace it. There's no possible way. And the virtual graduation, they're executed double arm interval, masking up when required to, which is really only during the award ceremony piece. They still do the pass and review. It's all done live. But there are some good things, good news stories that have come out of this. AFES has really come through for us, and basically give the ability for family members to purchase gift cards. And then they get a picture with their soldier holding a gift card that they can utilize on their family day and graduation day. But a lot of added benefits. We had a large holdover population at the beginning of this. We're down to about 48 hours now on station before they move, unless they go onto a small outlier location. So they get time to communicate with the family. But I think at first it was a shocker. But as we move through the COVID environment with everybody else, and yeah, I said the C word again. As we move through the COVID environment with everybody else, people are becoming more understanding. And I'm not going to say this is the way it's going to be. And I can't tell you when we're going to change. It's
right.
just how we change.
Right.
It's going back to that. It's how we get there, not when we get there.
Right.
Yeah, so we definitely had to scratch that itch with the families, because once we figured it out, their biggest hang up was they couldn't do anything. They sit there. They love watching it. Every week, I think now we average, over 100K views. that could be grandma watching that thing 10 times, but
right.
But they're watching it. So, they watch the heck out of it. And so we figured out, this gift card idea. Because they just wanted to do something. I can't be there, can't hug you, can't kiss you, those type things. So with the gift card, it's pretty unique what AFES did. They just sent in an email. I want to buy a gift card for Beagle and Gann. They get their gift card, and they get that picture back. And so that went over very well. And the amount of generous people out there is amazing. One guy, we highlighted him last week. He bought a card for everybody in his son's company.
Wow.
So $40, and you do the math in a company, very generous people.
Wow. That's impressive. Yeah. Did, you let us know too, because if there's anything we can help out with, or any shout outs you want to send us some shout outs or something like that, we're more than happy to post it. Because that right there will make the family feel like, oh, okay, it's not just a post, it's everybody else seeing it too. You know what I mean? There was a question about some of the about drill sergeant school. With the 2-week Blackboard drill sergeant course, how's the 7-week follow on course, drill sergeant academy course, going to work with report dates. Are you tracking some of that, Sergeant Major?
Some of it, their first course is going to start on 4th of June. And when they arrived at Fort Jackson, it would be no different than they got off the bus at 120th reception. So they're going to go through a quarantine period, be attested like not with the rest of them.
Right.
From what I understand, large in part, it's going to be those that are east of the Mississippi, CONUS locations east of the Mississippi. Trying to get that pipeline back over. Now, how that's going to work, I don't know. This will be the first 7-week course with the 2-week blackboard. So more to follow. I don't know for sure how it's going to play out myself. But it briefs will up front, but most things do. So we'll figure out what happens when it gets fired up.
Now, are you looking at additional cadre for this too, or did it actually? I mean, speaking of which, I mean, a lot of the virtual stuff. Have you guys been able to adjust pretty good with that? I mean, has it been a big adjustment?
We're becoming virtual gurus, and I think that can be said across the Army.
Yeah. You ain't lying.
Whether it's Zoom, Microsoft Teams, you name it.
Right. Oh, I know. Yeah, I did a KLE with the SFAB yesterday, and they were the SFAC, and it was the same thing. I was sitting there watching them working through their mechanizations of it, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'm hearing it in the background, all the stuff we can't say on radio here because we have families listening. But yeah, they were dropping the F-bombs and some stuff like that, trying to set it up. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to record this. I'm not going to video this stuff. I'll just go ahead and take the screenshots. Did it, this also, would highlight, are you guys going to see any type of budgetary requests? Like, okay, now that we've gotten this, is the DoD facilitating, more funding, or did you guys have to just kind of like scratch this stuff together like Apollo 13? When it came to setting up the facilities and getting the testing equipment and all that, how did it work out? Do you guys see hey, this is going to be a request for next year's FY for funding?
No. I mean, huge kudos to the Army and DoD. I mean, we got stuff very fast. I mean, the testing systems that we have, one is a BioFire, the other is a Gen Expert. They call it. And there's different types, but that stuff, I mean, it came really, really quick. So I wouldn't say the floodgates open with funding and money and all that stuff. So we had to use what we had on hand, kind of record from a COVID expense perspective. We're buying this for COVID. I mean, we kind of needed the plexiglass, that kind of stuff. So that was all very comfortable with how, both TRADOC and all the way up to, I think, the Army and the DoD level, just capture those costs, because now where you did spend money before, you don't need to spend it there. You need to spend it on this stuff. So we did that well. And then to kind of close that gap for us, then they just really opened up, the floodgates with regard to resources and the things that we needed. And so LSAs, I mean, like at Fort Benning, they had some life support areas, pop up that they needed because they didn't have the capacity. We almost needed that, but then we were able to kind of, reorganize internally. So we didn't save a little bit of money there, but that stuff flowed, very quickly. So, I mean, big kudos to our Army and TRADOC.
Yeah, absolutely. Higher command has been there. I mean, I've never heard asked so much, what do you need? Yeah. What do you need help with? What do you need? We need help with. So whatever we could possibly want or need was there and ready at any given moment.
Yeah, for the most part, it's almost saying, stop. We don't need that. I had an old boss tell me, there's 3 kinds of help. Help you don't want, help you don't need, help you didn't ask for. And so that's the other part of this environment is like, you get those kind of helps too. And it's like, no, we don't need that. Appreciate it, but no thanks. That's, a little bit too much, but that's a good thing.
Hey, real quick then, we got another question here. So what's the COVID hurricane plan? I mean, what's going to happen with that? I mean, there's some individuals. What would you? I know this is not I guess this is more like an off the cuff. What would you guys do for a hurricane plan once it hits? Because I know season's up. So
can't pretend like it ain't coming.
Right, exactly.
So it's absolutely going to come, but as part of our steady state operations, ICE. I mean, there'll be a hurricane under COVID environment, and nothing's going to change. We'll be operating how we're operating given the COVID condition and react to a hurricane.
Yeah, and the key part of what you're talking about too, ICE, is we get a lot of evacuees that come here, and again, whether we have the capacity or not that time, depending on when it hits, but we call it a telegraph punch. You can see it coming. We know it's coming.
Right.
And we'll make the proper adjustments, but then some things will honestly, as we look at it, depending on how bad it is or what time it hits, kind of go out of the window. I mean, if we really got to, pack everybody together and that type of stuff to accommodate our brothers from the Navy or anywhere else that, need to come here to high ground to get away from it from the coast, then we got to do that. And just know that's just a risk. But we're also reducing another risk. But we factor that in, and then we'll start, here with some tabletops and rock drill on hurricanes. But it's just one more piece of complexity.
Right. Yeah.
What we're already dealing with.
Exactly.
And I'd add too, like I said a minute ago, if everybody's doing the right thing, you're going from a safe bubble to a safe bubble.
Yeah, even probably safer bubble too, because it's going to be more contained.
Yeah.
Yes. With that, there's individuals that they're asking about concerning the enforcement of policies. For like right now, what's the installation policy for wearing masks? Is it still the same? The CDC guidance is still you're wearing a mask unless you cannot help getting closer than 6 feet, then you don a mask. So how's that been? How's that working out now? I mean, what is going to happen? What is the Fort Jackson policy right now for wearing that type of PPE?
So masks right now, ICE are required. Yes, if you can't maintain 6 feet of social distancing, you have to mask up to close that distance, which is required. I mean, we are in the Army, and we're required to coach through rifle qualifying, hooking soldiers up on a rappel tower. I mean, there are instances in which you're going to close that 6 feet bubble. Other than that, within the 6 feet, it's a training environment, right? So as an added precaution, any of our APs establishments or restaurants that you enter into, you're required to mask up. And a lot of that is you're going to pass one another in the aisle, buggies passing buggies and whatnot, and talking to cashiers. So for everybody's safety, any establishment outside of your footprint, you're going to mask up to go into. Now, within headquarters, there are some staff sections you can't maintain 6 feet of separation. You're going to be masked up inside that staff office the entire time. Whereas other offices may be able to maintain 6 feet of social distancing and they don't need to mask up. And then following, like I said earlier, the 350-6 guidelines for cleaning, as well as the other guidelines that have been instituted for cleaning the APHIS facilities, no issues. I mean, as long as everybody's doing the right thing, and there's really no issues.
No, okay. I was just curious because that's so. But to get on post, to get on Jackson right now, you don't have to mask up.
Yeah, you don't mask up when you come on, but like our gate guards, they're masked up.
Right.
So they'll be in their mask, and it's, again, some of it is common sense too. It's like one or the other. So when I leave with my driver and 8, at least the 3 of us in a vehicle, 2 out of 3 are going to mask up.
Right.
And so those type of things. When you come in the gate, you don't have to have a mask on, but the gate guard's going to have one.
Right.
So again, they're not touching your ID. Those type of things. And then some folks, whether they're in a 6-foot bubble or not, they just mask up on their own, which is, again, your option, your comfort level,
right,
those type of things. But if it's public, you're going in a public place, like Sergeant Major said, absolutely, you're masked up, or you get kicked out. And then
exactly.
For training, is to the extent possible. I mean, sometimes drill sergeants, especially when they're deeper in training, you probably won't see any mask, and so we get that problem too. People are comparing apples and oranges. Whereas, hey, I'm looking out my window at a platoon of 30 run by all together. Nobody's got a mask on.
Mm-hmm. But
I can't have my party, in the backyard with 10 of my closest friends. Well, the difference is that 30, trainees you saw, they sleep together, live together, breathe together, eat together, and everything else. Your neighbors, they don't. You don't know what they do when they leave.
Right.
So the number of 10 is still prudent. And so we get a little bit of that too, is people don't understand exactly what they're seeing and then understanding some of the conditions. And so we've been able to, I think, get through that. But there's just, some that just kind of, don't want to get it, for lack of a better term, or just can't really, grasp the difference between, what you can do when you're clearly inside a bubble and you're outside of the bubble, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense because there was individuals that were asking me, they're like, well, so what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to don when you get a mask? I'm like, I don't know what the post policy is. I'm retired. I mean, if I have to mask up, it's almost kind of like a respect thing. If the installation says you have to mask up to get on post, then you mask up to get on post. If a store, just like you were saying, sir, if a store tells you to mask up before you walk in the door, then you mask up. It's their policy. There was rumor, Sergeant Major. There's rumor going around, and because I guess there were some people that are pinging about some drill sergeant rumors. That the drill sergeants that got extended, there's talk about $1,000 bonus or something like that for being extended. Is that like a drill sergeant stimulus or something like that? Is that true, or is that drill sergeant talk?
So there is additional AIP incentive bonus for those that did get extended. That was recommended through TRADOC, which has not been approved at HRC yet, but is pending approval. I will say yes to that.
Okay, so it's pending approval of that, or or it's being staffed for approval? Because there's a lot. You got to hang.
No, it's being staffed for approval.
Okay, cool. There you go. So there, everyone's all right. You drill sergeants that are pinging me in my PMs. You got some drill sergeants that are asking.
You gotta understand too. That's not a large population.
Right. Well, yeah. So
I have the largest population of drill sergeants in the INT environment right here at Fort Jackson, and I think I got like 42.
Right, and so you can probably
it's not a large population.
So you can probably narrow down which one asked me the question.
That's a good question. I'm not gonna go ahead.
No, you're right. You're right. No,
that's fair.
No, but it's like the second. It's like the second question that's been that was asked to me. Another one is, I guess, right now active duty cannot exceed a mileage radius without approval of an exception of policy. What is your guys' leave of policy, exception of policy? What is your leave radius, anyways, for Fort Jackson?
Yeah, so we have 120 miles, and some of that is a bit deliberate. I mean, and like every other installation did the same thing. And so here for us is kind of keeping Atlanta out of that bubble. I mean, I can go, I wouldn't say as far as I want, but 225, 250. But then you look what's inside that bubble. So at the time, that decision is made, so I can put that in the GO1, General Order Number 1. Atlanta was like hot, and you're like, yeah,
right.
You're not going to Atlanta. I mean, so you need those exceptions, and there's been plenty of exceptions. I signed probably at least 10 or 15 a day because things happen. You got deaths because of COVID, and
right.
Folks have to go there, but then you got to have those conversations of here's what you're going to do when you get there, here's what you're going to do when you get back. Those type things. So we're not, denying folks
right.
From going outside of that radius, but just in general,
right.
We drew it at 120, and that's pretty good. It doesn't get us out as far as Bragg, but it gets us to Charlotte, some other, key places across the state, and that's good enough. But everybody did that. I mean, you go to other installations, their radius is like 50 or 60,
right?
But it's for great reason, because I mean now
right.
you might have Kansas City within driving range, but Kansas City is hot, and you don't
right.
You don't want them going there, but
right.
We'll see over time.
Now I'm sure, like you were saying, extenuating circumstances like child custody transfer and visitation are obviously going to be seen in this too as well, because there's individuals that are they're asking, hey, look, what's this going to do for, like, I have visitation with my daughter and I'm picking up my daughter, or I'm picking up my son. I mean, obviously you are taking that into consideration in that. Do you provide them the same advice too? Like, hey, look, okay, you're gonna, I don't know, throw some hand sanitizer on them or something like that.
They all get that. And I mean, I've given those exceptions too, because I mean, you look at it and I tell the leadership, just write it well. Just, that's another problem we got is people don't write well. It's just, say what the reason is, the issue is, the hardship is going to be, and explain that. Because again, I'm not always having that dialogue with the leadership when that comes up. But if you explain it to me and it makes common sense, it's prudent, and it's going to allow somebody to avoid a hardship, it makes sense. So a lot of those I've approved because they really do. When they lay it out, yep, I got to go to, I think one from today. I need to go to Meridian, Mississippi to exchange the kids with my wife. She's going somewhere out in Texas for 3 months, and I got to have the kids. Yeah, that makes sense. So that one was approved, but it was the way it was communicated, articulated. You can see it, and you don't need to have a lot of waste a lot of time or have a dialogue with it. And so the leadership has really gotten that, and that's all the way down to the first line supervisors, and so that's worked out well. But then what I also get to see is the instructions that were given. So they're putting the right stuff in that paperwork. Is like, yes, depending on where you go, when you get back, you got 14 days, and your travel is this point to that point, and if you stop, make sure you do X, Y, and Z. So they're pretty detailed with it. I'm pretty pleased when I see them come up, and rarely do I have to call a commander back and go, hey, explain this one to me, because I don't quite get it, and they do. They're all pretty engaged.
That's awesome.
And also keeping in mind that based off their listeners' location, those bubbles vary in sizes. I've heard everything from 400 miles down to 20 miles. So they really need to be tied in with what's going on in their local area and what their local commander's doing.
Fort Bragg made the whole state a local area. General Carrillo said the whole state is a local leave area. That's the radius. I'm like, wow, okay, that's a method.
A technique.
Right. Okay, so hey, Sergeant Major, you I know we're about ready to close up. I got one more question. What's this? You're going somewhere? I mean, what's you're fixing to take off? What's your next?
I am. My Ranger buddy. I gotta leave him, but he's getting another Ranger buddy though. He's coming in out of Germany. Command Sergeant Major Tavernier. Is coming in out of Germany. He'll be here probably in the month, 1st of June time frame. We'll high five and do a good left seat, right seat here. And I'm headed to Fort Knox, Kentucky, to be the cadet command and post sergeant major for Fort Knox.
So I'm going to change my bubble ice. I'm going to go from a mile radius of 120 to like 500, just so I can go bug sergeant major.
Pick me up on the way. That's what I'm talking about. No, congratulations, man. That's awesome. Now, so what we just covered a story too about some advanced camp and summer camp being canceled. Are you? I'm sure General Evans is going to be picking your brain, or he probably already has been picking your brain about some of the stuff you've done at Jackson to move to the cadet academy, right?
I think that was a understand the environment. I think that was a lead in for me and being selected for the job. And I look forward to working with General Evans. I do understand the environment, and I think that is crucial.
Right.
And as far as cadet summer training and where that's at, I'm not on the ground there, and I'm not prepared to speak about that in depth. But whatever the circumstances may be, I'm a fast learner, and I know I'm willing to grab any bull by the horn. So I look forward to the challenge.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, you, sir, you still have another year, right?
Yeah. So they gave me 3. So I think I need retraining. So typically I would have come out next month.
I was about to say
you got another year. So apparently I need some retraining in command, which is all okay.
You need so much retraining, sir. They got to send you another sergeant major to do it.
Yeah. Another year and another sergeant.
And another sergeant major. Oh, okay, yeah.
They'll let me go when I get it right.
Jerry's like, I'm out of here, man. You're too much. All right. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for coming on to Sergeant's Time, and then again, well, we appreciate you coming back on almost a year anniversary. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely, I had a blast.
Yeah, all right. This is great, and appreciate you guys and what you do. And Spanky, I know she can.
Yeah, she's back in the background. Thanks, Spanky.
Appreciate you.
You're welcome, gentlemen.
All right, team, we're going to take a break right quick, and we'll be right back. So everyone stand by.
Fading out, cirrus shapes I found blow me away. Van Allen right around, pushing through. Skin is brown, nature has us trapped in fear. So